All right, welcome to lesson 7.1D. We're going to solve two-step inequalities. So our objective, I can solve two-step inequalities. Really quickly, I want to review, when do I flip the sign? And this is, again, a typo. It should say symbol. We use sign to refer to positive or negative. When we're talking about this, we're talking about the symbol, the inequality symbol here. So, 5r is greater than or equal to 10. Do I flip it? Well, there are no negatives here, so we're not going to end up multiplying or dividing by a negative, so no, there's no negatives. Here we have negative 5r is greater than 10. Am I going to flip it? Yes, you are going to flip it, because to get rid of this negative 5, we're getting rid of a negative. If we're getting rid of a negative, we're going to flip it. So this one we would have to divide by negative. Here we have r divided by negative 3 is less than or equal to 2. Do I flip it? Yes. You are going to flip it. There's a negative here. We have to get rid of a negative. So we would have to multiply by a negative. If we're multiplying or dividing by a negative, we're flipping it. All right, our last one. R divided by 5 is greater than 2. We're getting rid of the 5. It's positive, so no. There's no negative. All right. Here's our cheat sheet. You only need to flip the sign when multiplying or dividing by a negative. If you're multiplying or dividing by a positive number, you do not need to flip the sign. You will never flip the sign when adding or subtracting. Adding or subtracting, we don't flip anything. It stays the same. All right, so let's look at solving two-step inequalities. You're going to notice that these steps look identical to solving two-step equations. It's because they are. You already know how to do this. We just have a slightly different sign, and there's an extra step where we might have to flip it sometimes. So when we're solving two-step inequalities, we still want to draw our line down the inequality sign and identify our variable. In this case, my variable is x. That's what I'm solving for. Now, I'm not sure if I need to flip my inequality symbol, so I might just leave that until the end. So I have 14 is greater than 2x, 2 times x minus 4. So the first thing I need to do is identify what is happening to the variable. Here's our variable. There's two things happening. We're multiplying by 2, and we're subtracting 4. What is the so we are multiplying and subtracting. Those are the things that are happening. What is the inverse or the opposite of those things? Well, the opposite of multiplying is dividing. The opposite of subtracting is adding. Now we're going to use those on both sides, and we're going to start with what's furthest away from the variable. So if I ignore this side, here's my variable. 2 is right next to it. That's snuggled up real close. 4 is pretty far away, so that's what I'm going to get rid of first. So I'm going to undo minus 4. We undo subtraction with addition, so I'm going to add 4, which cancels it out. If I add 4 to the right side, I also need to use it on the other side. We've got to use it on both sides. So if I add 4 here, I'm going to add 4 here. 14 plus 4 gives me 18. Notice we just added, so we're going to keep our inequality symbol the same. We haven't done anything to flip it yet. We also haven't dealt with 2, so I'm going to bring down 2x. 18 is greater than 2x. But I want to get x by itself, so I need to get rid of that 2. It's multiplying, so we're going to use division to undo it. I'm going to divide, again, this is how I'm dividing with a fraction, by 2. And that cancels out. Do the same thing to the other side, divide by 2. 18 divided by 2 is 9. Now, did we multiply or divide by a negative? No, 2 was positive, so our inequality symbol stays the same. It's going to keep eating the left side. So 9 is greater than x. X could be anything that's smaller than 9, because 9 has to be bigger than it every time. All right, let's look at the bottom here. Here we have x plus 3 divided by negative 4 is less than or equal to 19. I'm going to draw my line down the inequality sign. Our variable is x, so I'm going to put that at the bottom. I don't know if we're going to flip yet, because I see a negative over here, and that makes me nervous. So I'm not going to put my inequality sign at the bottom yet, because it might flip. All right, let's identify what's happening to our variable. Here we have x plus 3, so I know that we are adding. And then we have a fraction, which means division. So there's two things happening. We're adding and we're dividing. We need to know what the inverse, the opposite of those things are. The opposite of addition is subtraction, and the opposite of division is multiplication. So now we're going to use the inverse on both sides. But this is kind of confusing because x is relatively the same distance from both negative 4 and 3. So when we have a fraction, think about it like a house. We have our upstairs. I'll even draw a picture. Here's my house. Upstairs we have x plus 3. Downstairs we have negative 4. X plus 3 are going to be closer together because they're on the same floor of the house. 4 is all the way down here in the basement hanging out. So we want to get rid of that first because it's further away. So this is dividing by negative 4. We undo division with multiplication. So I'm going to multiply by negative 4. That cancels out. On this side, the only thing that's left is x plus 3, so I'm going to bring that down. If I multiply the left by negative 4, I need to multiply the right by negative 4. 19 times negative 4. A positive times a negative, opposite signs, is going to give us a negative answer. And then you can go ahead and use your calculator like I'm about to find the answer. So we have 19 times 4. We already know that my answer is negative, so I don't need to do that on the calculator. And I get 76. Now, we multiplied by a negative, which means our inequality symbol is going to flip. From eating the 19 on the right side, we're going to flip it the other way to eat on the left side. All right, so we undid our division. The thing that's left is addition. We undo addition with subtraction. So I'm going to go ahead and minus 3 because I want to get x by itself. Cancels out. Now x is all alone. I'm going to minus 3 on this side. Negative 76 minus 3. If I owe someone $76 and I borrow $3 more, I now owe them $79, and we keep it negative. When subtracting with our same sign, or when subtracting with negatives at all, remember we keep change. Negative 76 minus 3. We keep negative 76. We change negative to positive, or minus to addition, and then we change positive 3 to negative 3. When we add with the same signs, we add 76 plus 3 is going to be 79, and we keep x and negative 79. Now, our inequality symbol, we already flipped our sign because we multiplied by a negative. and then we subtracted. Remember, we don't need to flip when we subtract, so you'll never flip when you subtract, which means we're going to keep this symbol. We changed it when we multiplied by a negative, and now we're going to keep it. So x is greater than or equal to negative 79. All right, go ahead and jump into your practice. Let me know if you have questions.